Christi Freed, welcome to Ringler Radio. So great to have you on.
Matt, thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here today.
Absolutely. So you are a trust provider. And for folks that don't know what a trust provider is or trust company is, in the settlement world or in the settlement sense, could you walk through that with our audience as a high
Oh,
level?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think, the personal injury marketplace and the products and services that have expanded over the last 30 plus years have really started to embrace using trust. And I would say a lot of the times when people are kind of thinking that it might be of assistance to them is first, if they've got any special needs. If you've got somebody who's deemed disabled and they need government protection um, for their benefits that they may be able to take advantage of, we certainly have a variety of special needs trusts that we can work on throughout the country. The second of all is, we have minors trusts. There are some states and some counties that are looking to have monies to provide for children up through the age of 18 before they reach the age of majority. And so we do a lot of minors trust business. And the same would go with incompetence for people who need assistance managing their affairs to make sure that your money is protected from outside undue influence, things of that nature. And then the fourth is an interesting category. I've seen that kind of grow throughout the years. We have people who want the protection of a trust. They are not deemed disabled. They have their faculties. They're not minors, but they want assistance. They want somebody who's going to help them navigate not only the spending of their settlement as they move forward, transitioning from the end of the lawsuit or the claim and moving forward to living their lives with this money, but having people who are on their team, building a team that's going to support them so that they can grow their money, they can ensure that they've got bookkeeping and financial matters, and that those monies are used for their health, education, maintenance, and support.
Okay, so at its basic, I mean, there's really four reasons why someone would utilize a trust, and that's either to protect government benefits, to deal with a minor situation, someone who's not reached the age of majority, to actually receive funds contractually speaking, and enter into that agreement. Someone who's incompetent or has a traumatic brain injury who doesn't have their faculties to be able to manage money, or really just their own desire to. So, of those four, maybe let's give an example of a situation that you see, because why would someone really want to do a trust ultimately? Because hey, I got someone else looking after my money, and I have to ask for permission to get that money. So what? Maybe give our folks an example of what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 12 years ago, I met a young man. He was in his early 20s, and he had been going to college. He was on a football scholarship, and to supplement any of the opportunities that were provided to him, he had a part-time job. And so he worked overnight in a sugar factory. And through no fault of his own, things went horrifically wrong, and there was an explosion. And he is one of a handful of survivors. This young man came out of this. He had burns on 90% of his body, and he was rushed to a trauma center. And there he went through the process of going through the healing and the various surgeries to reconnect tendons and open up his fingers and the like. At all the while being supported by his family and his friends, and most importantly, his college. I'll be honest with you. Even though he could no longer play football, they did get him to be a water boy on the football team, so he was able to maintain his scholarship and continue on with his studies and have his tuition paid for. When I met him through a structured settlement broker, and they had been working with him to arrange a settlement so that he would have some funds immediately available for him, and then he'd also have funds throughout his life in the course of structured settlement. And so, although he was burned on 90% of his body, he was not deemed disabled. I think that's something that honestly, when I met him, I was a little shocked, and I have come to learn. Yeah, right. So I've come to learn over the past 12, 15 years that a lot of burn victims have their injuries on the outside where we can see them. And it's not necessarily that their brain has been damaged or any of their organs have been damaged. And so he wasn't deemed disabled. He was not a minor. He wasn't incompetent. But he knew that coming into an 8-figure settlement was going to pose some challenges for himself and for his family. And so he expressed that to his plaintiff attorney and also to the structured settlement broker. And they said, you know what, we'd like to introduce you to Christi. And so when I met him, we were talking a lot about how he was looking for somebody who could guide him through the next, 15 years of his life. So we worked with local counsel and we came up with a health, education, maintenance, and support trust that was going to take effect from the date of the settlement up through and including his 40th birthday. And at that time, he was going to be able to maybe decide whether or not he still wanted that assistance or whether he could take it from here. As you can imagine, it's been a very exciting 12 years. In that time, he has fallen in love. He's gotten married. He's bought a house. He's sold a house. He has opened up investment accounts in his own name. We have continued to work with him on teaching him about budgets and insurance, trying to kind of give him some guidance as to what we're doing with the trust. And then he goes and he has some opportunities to take some advantages in his own investment scheme. He has since relocated and lives in a town and kind of got caught with his pants down last year. He was a real estate investor and he was flipping houses and the market turned. And so now he's kind of caught holding the bag. We've been able to bail him out of a little bit of trouble he's been in. We've also been able to kind of step in and be a voice, a third-party neutral voice. So we've been kind of able to kind of take that responsibility, that aspect out of his life and kind of given a little space between him and his money so that when we do have to turn down these opportunities, we're able to give them a logical, factual payment plan and schedule to see if they can fit it. And if they cannot, we kind of take the emotion out of it. And he hasn't had to be worried about who's going to say what at Thanksgiving or, what's going to happen at bowling night when I go, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a powerful story, and you kind of touched on a few points. One, you build a personal relationship with these folks over time. You get to know them, their spending habits, what's important to them ultimately, so you can be a better trustee for them. Because really, at any point, they could go somewhere else, right? I mean, there's a service agreement there to where you need to be able to provide good service and build that relationship because you're in it for the long haul. A lot of these trusts, they can be irrevocable. A lot of them are revocable, but it just depends on the scenario and the situation. Here's my question to kind of build off of this. So I would say for folks that are listening, when they think about trust, they probably think about the Rockefellers or, something of a wealth preservation tool, right? And it's basically that in the sense, but it's for folks that have gone through something traumatic because we work together, right? At Ringler, we have a partnership with Continental Trust to ensure that, hey, if there's something that happens, we can utilize the power of structured settlements along with the trust. Why is that relationship so important to when it comes to structured settlements and trust? Because I know it's part of your origin story.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what. When I started this company 17 years ago, I had been working in the structured settlement industry in the annuity provider space. So don't judge me, but I am a trained actuary. And I realized very quickly that I had a little bit too much personality and charisma to stay in that room crunching numbers all day, especially when they asked me to leave. But, I worked my way up through the management of that. And I ran a customer service area, and we were getting phone call after phone call after phone call from people who were involved in these new kind of special needs trusts where they had banks that were serving as trustees for them, and they weren't allowing them to spend any money. So
Mm.
from my position, we were paying the annuity payments into the trust, but we realized that the trust was not spending the money. They weren't buying the vehicles. They weren't doing the handicap ramps. They weren't providing copays. They were much more interested in asset retainment than they were to making those settlement funds available to these individuals. And after I started looking at it and thinking about it, I was like, there's something in this country I think that we're all familiar with when we talk about the financial services industry, talking about high net worth individuals. Seems to be something that has been a growing trend over the last 20 years, where people really want to get involved with helping high net worth individuals manage their estate.
Mm.
Well, on paper, a lot of our clients look like high net worth individuals, simply for the dollars that are involved in their settlements. But what's not being taken into play is that a lot of our clients have lost the ability to go out and earn income for the rest of their lives.
Mm.
And the reason their settlements are so large is because they require so much care and they require that income to be replaced.
Right.
And so a lot of our clients were getting pigeonholed into these high net worth, algorithms where some of the banks, not all of the banks, but some of the banks back in the early days were more interested in asset retention, were more interested in creating opportunities for their other product lines to come in and provide services and products that were going to be yielding high returns at maybe a high risk, or maybe something that wasn't appropriate for a catastrophically disabled individual. So my team and I left and decided to start Continental Trust Services. And I knew one thing that we had that many other people didn't have was we had a solid base understanding of the unparalleled resilience of the structured settlement annuity. Where else are we going to get a tax-free income, both federal, state, and local? Where else are we going to be able to see the power of a rated age come into play so that there's a much higher payment being made available by these annuity issuers? And where else was it going to be guaranteed for life? The answer is nowhere. Now, in the real world, people have asset classes, right?
Right.
Very few people have just one asset class. Most of my friends and family, most of the colleagues that I have, and quite frankly, the clients that I have, are looking at what am I going to do for cash? What am I going to do for market participation, be it stocks or mutual funds or ETFs? And what am I going to do for fixed income? What's the bond market going to do for me? So when you look at it from the total picture, it makes absolute sense for everybody in the personal industry world to really look at what a structured settlement can do for them, because a structured settlement is very similar to a bond asset class in anybody's portfolio. And the way we come about this is we look at that structured settlement as a foundation. And that's where we begin, and then we can build upon what needs and what opportunities exist for somebody, depending on what their risk, what their risk management is.
Yeah.
And so it's been 17 years. We are very strong supporters of the structured settlement industry. We are very committed to the strength and the use of those annuities when it's available to people who have been involved in physical injury claims.
Very well said. I have a follow-up. When you, at its basis level, the trust is an intercessor between the individual and the assets that they have, right? As you were kind of pointing out
Yeah.
earlier. For someone on the call that might be uncomfortable with that, or wonder, hey, how do I even get access? What's the process of getting access to these funds? What if you say, no, I'm not going to let you buy that car, or I don't think you should have that purse, whatever it may be? I'm sure you get a lot of different requests.
We do.
Walk us through that conversation and how you would respond to someone who's concerned about that access.
Yeah. That question comes up almost every time I interview to become a trustee, to be honest with you. It's a valid concern. One thing I can tell you is that you know, it's a trust, right? And you need to trust the partners that you choose to do business with. And so I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If this were 1985, I couldn't be able to offer you the ease of access that I can in 2025.
Really?
The internet, the
Oh,
exposure to
availability of knowledge.
technology, right?
Yeah.
It really allows people to do things what they need to do on their timetable. And so when I meet you, there's a couple of things. Number one, I'm interviewing for a job to work for that family.
Mm.
Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned earlier, every trust document has an opportunity for the beneficiary to change trustees. So my team and I have a vested interest in doing what's right for you, treating you with respect, and treating every transaction we have with transparency. We give out usernames and passwords so that individuals can look at the asset classes we have that were being held in their trust. Because although my team and I might work Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., some of these beneficiaries have a very, very different schedule than we have. And so maybe it's not until 11 or 2 o'clock in the morning when they have questions, they have concerns, they have curiosity. Well, log on to your account and see what's going on. At the same point, they can reach us via email. We have distribution request forms that are direct from our website, which will go straight to our payment team. They can call us 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We keep the phones open, and they are manned by actual individuals and people. They're not put into a call waiting list or things of that nature. We don't have any AI helping us do that. And we also have, shockingly enough, it's very helpful for pharmacies, especially in rural America. We have a fax line so that we can get the fax medical receipts that we need. Yeah, that we need to get going. And we also do in-home visits. You'd be surprised how many people are interested in keeping their trustee and their trust a very private matter, which I'm very thankful for, because I think it really does kind of eliminate a lot of unwanted attention from friends and family. But then there are people who would like to see us more often. And so we can go to the house, we can go and meet with you. But a lot of this is done Zoom. Zoom was, the pandemic was extraordinary. Everybody kind of got up their Zoom game so that we could do more video conferencing and things like that. So having access to your money, I always tell people it's a simple understanding. When we get a trust, whether it's a special needs or minor incompetent or just a regular HEMS trust, that's that health, education, maintenance, and support I keep talking about. That trust is written by an individual attorney that is licensed to do business where our clients reside. We get that document and we go through, we make our notes, we have a nice little outline that we do, and we kind of break it down into plain English. We circulate that around so everybody understands what we know our job is to be done. Once that's completed and once the trust is funded and we have our welcome call, the first 90 days, it's new. People don't like change.
Growing pains.
Yeah, it's growing pains.
Yeah.
We're gonna work with you with your budgets. We're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I need to know a couple of different things. Number one, for the business that we do, Matt, these trusts they're called primary trusts. So they're geared towards one individual. So when somebody comes and says, Christi, I want you to pay $10,000 for a swimming pool, the first question we ask is it for
That's a cheap pool.
Well, okay, that's not good. You're right.
How about
$100,000? $100,000 for a pool. Is it for your primary benefit? Yes.
Right.
Okay. Then what do we have? Well, if it's special needs, is this going to impede your government benefit eligibility? And we go through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a minor, is it going to a lot of the minors cases are court supervised. Is this judge, is this county where we live, are they going to be understanding that it is for the recreation and maybe the rehabilitation for your son and daughter? We look at the HEMS trust. Is this for your maintenance?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then the very last thing is it in your budget? Budgeting is huge in our world. You know, a lot of the work that we do is made a lot easier by the structured settlement, which is paying into the trust. And that payment can be, it's periodic. So we could get it monthly, we could get it quarterly, we could get it annually, we could get it, you know, for cars, we do it every 6 years, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we keep track of all of that for our clients and we bring those up. And especially if we've got an opportunity to do Zoom calls. Okay, we've got the $100,000 pool. Let's look. Where's the property? How much is the property worth? Are we over improving it? Can the property support it? Can the trust support it? When's our next, you know, payment coming in? What are our investment incomes doing? What payments do we have coming down the line over the next 3 to 5 years? And so it's a collaboration.
It's intimate. It's
yeah.
an intimate discussion, and you clearly take the time necessary to understand the scenario and the particular situation on a case-by-case basis in order to provide that access, which I think anybody listening would say, yeah, that's something I appreciate and know and understand from a process standpoint. So let me end with this actually, because this is a good segue. You talked about the intimacy of, you know, getting in person to person. You're interviewing for that relationship with that family over time. For those that are considering a trust today, they might be listening now. They just are working through a settlement. They have options. What should they be asking people like you of vetting those trustees? What questions should they be primed with, ready to go when they are making this decision?
I think you raise a really good question. You know, when you're looking for a trustee, remember, trustee is based off of the trust, right? So you want to be able to trust this partner that you're inviting into your family and into your home and into your personal space, because this is the person, this is the teammate that's going to work with you and work with others around you, work with your banks, work with your children, your spouse, work with you so that you can problem solve and be able to extend this money so that it's available to you when you need it. So you want to know who is this person? What type of credentials do you bring to the table? What type of background? What have you seen? Why are you in this business? What do your clients look like? And then I would say the number one thing I would ask somebody the number one thing I would hope to be asked by somebody who's interviewing a trustee, talk to me about the transparency, because I don't want this money to disappear. This money is very important to me. How do you protect my transparency? How do you protect my access to you and your staff? And what kind of protections are there? You know, what type of insurance policies? What type of safety nets do you have so that when, not if, when we have a problem, we can solve it together?
Well said.
You know, that's the other thing, Matt. I mean, I would say the biggest lesson I've learned in over 17 years that I've been serving as trustee: money doesn't solve problems. People solve problems.
People. Yeah. Well said. Yeah. All right.
You know, we are looking to enhance the team that has been put around, whether we're being introduced to people through the defense side with the claims adjuster, or whether we're being introduced on the plaintiff side, be it with an attorney or a mediator, judge, working with brokers on both sides of the equation. Ultimately, there's a team being put together, and this trustee is coming in to quarterback that team. Some people already have financial managers that they like. Right. Let's include them on the team. As many trusted members as can be a part of this, I think it's crucial, because people who are involved in personal physical injuries are going through a thing, and they're going through a very traumatic time, not only with the accident, but they've gone through years, sometimes decades, of fighting and mediating and preparing for trial and depositions and talking about numbers. And now it's kind of getting back to the point where all of that is ending, and a lot of these relationships that they've built up are coming to a close. Their plaintiff attorney, their paralegals, their interpreters are moving on to another chapter with other clients in their world and getting handed off and selecting a trustee. Real important that you can make sure that you're comfortable, and always remember, it's not the end of the world. If you come down the pike in 90 days or 5 years from now, still it's not a good fit for you, any good trustee worth their weight in salt is going to help you find a resource that's going to be more comfortable fit. So even though they're irrevocable trusts, which you alluded to a little bit in our discussion, the trustee is not irrevocable. That trustee is going to get up every day, and they're going to keep working to earn your business and earn their place at the table so that they can help you resolve issues as they come up in your life, and make sure that they've got funds available and funds that are growing for you so that they can keep up with the cost of living. They can keep up with the rising, take your pick, right? It could be groceries, it could be medical devices, things, even though you may have settled your trust back in 2015, and we might have to spend 2015 monies to make, payments in 2025. You want that team prepared so that they've got you and they've got your back, and they're working with you on your budgets, and they have an ongoing conversation with you.
Christi, it was so well said. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I would let you get back to being the proverbial quarterback, as you mentioned, and start throwing those trust touchdowns. So thanks for joining us, and I wish you well.
Oh, Matt, I can't tell you what a pleasure it was to be here with you today. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to share some information about the trust world with you.